You know, you a woman who sounds like you date men, right? So you know, if your nigga needs you for emotional support, you like, God. You know what I'm saying? You're supposed to be a man. But it's different when it comes to women because it's like, damn, this is a woman, so I've got to deal with it unless you meet like a stud who is not going to do that to you. You know what I'm saying? Who is not going to put you in that position, which, I don't know, it's few and far between. You know what I'm saying?
Me personally, I can't deal with another woman's emotions. My daughter's was enough.
I told you. She knows. She deal with it. And I'm pretty sure it turns her off if a nigga is being in his feelings and shit. Right? Women don't like that shit. Women don't like that shit. That's what I be trying to tell my fellas, right? Stop. You're more emotional than her, fam. Then you wonder why she leaving, or you wonder why you getting disrespected because she looks at you as the bitch in the relationship, fam. She sees panties on you even though she's the one wearing panties. You might as well put them on because that's how you act you act bitch in a relationship. You know what I'm saying? And this happens a lot. Like she said, in stud femme relationships because of the fact that the stud still a woman. A lot of studs, I can't speak for all studs, but you know, a lot of studs, they gonna cry too. You know what I'm saying? They gonna cry with you, or they gonna feel some type of way, or whatever the case is. You know? So it's complicated. But that's unfair though. I mean, it's unfair both ways, right? It's unfair for the studs who feel like they can't open up and they can't be vulnerable with their woman. But it's not fair to the woman either, like the femme either, because that femme wants the rock, right? That femme doesn't want a bitch. I'm just being honest here. People gonna be mad what I'm talking about, but y'all know it. Y'all know it. A woman wants to feel like a woman. How could she feel like a woman and all of this stuff? And how could she feel safe and secure when you come into her crying? You know what I'm saying? I'm just being honest, y'all. I'm just being honest. All right.
Are women turned off by emotional lesbian studs? I thought about the lesbian dynamic of relationships and how women who love women, when they come together in a relationship between women, people usually see a masculine presenting woman and a feminine presenting woman together. And yes, there are relationships between women that are called a stud and femme relationship dynamic between lesbians. And so I am going to discuss that particular lesbian relationship dynamic, but focus on how emotions play a huge part in the lesbian relationship dynamic between a lesbian stud and a lesbian femme. And to briefly explain what a lesbian stud is, she is a female homosexual who has a masculine or tomboyish presentation. She also may have masculine mannerisms, and she also refers to herself as a masculine presenting lesbian stud. A lesbian femme, she is a homosexual female, and she presents as a feminine presenting woman, and she is attracted to women. She also refers to herself as a feminine presenting lesbian woman. Now, there are other lesbian relationship dynamics because there are women who are in relationships and they both are femme presenting, or they may both be masculine presenting. But specifically in this video, I'll be referring to the lesbian relationship dynamic between a lesbian stud and a lesbian femme. Do women who identify as lesbian femmes want to be in relationships with lesbian studs who are emotional? Well, I want to first address, what does emotional mean? When we hear the word emotional, we usually think of someone who is very sensitive, maybe wears their heart on their sleeve, and they may be someone who is very expressive about their feelings. And in some cases, people usually imagine a person who is emotional to the point where they are crying and that they are having outbursts of emotion. And all of that is actually accurate. You can be emotional, though, in different ways of expression. It doesn't always have to be anger. It could be sadness. It could be joy. There's so many emotions that we feel, but your emotions are not always known to the public, meaning externally. And in this case, a lesbian stud who is emotional, she may be an emotional person, but not express her emotions verbally, or she may not show that she's an emotional person. She may be stoic, and she may be someone who is more private about how she feels and how she expresses her emotions. But what if she's not stoic? What if she is a lesbian stud who is emotional? She cries. She expresses herself. She says how she's feeling. And the emotions may be a range of emotions that she is experiencing throughout her day, throughout her life. Does a lesbian stud need to be emotional in order to have a healthy relationship with a lesbian femme? Does a lesbian femme want to be in a relationship with a lesbian stud? Why or why not? Do you think that a stud femme relationship between lesbians requires the lesbian stud to be more stud or more masculine and less emotional because she is viewed as the masculine presenting lesbian partner? Is she supposed to be the rock? Is this required in order for their lesbian relationship dynamic to work? As far as the lesbian femme, she more than likely feels more entitled to express herself emotionally. She will come home to her lesbian stud partner and tell her how her day is. She may be upset. She may be happy. She may be sad. She may be depressed. She may cry. She may yell. She may scream. And she feels like this is normal for her to do because she's a lesbian, feminine presenting woman. But the lesbian, feminine presenting woman may think, well, I don't want my lesbian stud girlfriend or my lesbian stud wife to act the way I am acting because, well, she's the more masculine presenting lesbian partner. So she needs to be more solid, more stoic, more strong. And if she is not, if she has emotional outbursts, if she's always upset, if she's always talking for hours, and even if it's for reasons that she's happy, I don't want to hear her talking nonstop. I don't want her to always wear her heart on her sleeve. I need her to be more calm. I need her to be more stud for me because, well, that's the only way that our relationship is going to work. That's the only way it's going to be balanced. And the lesbian femme, if she's thinking that the lesbian stud being emotional is an issue for their relationship, well, then she's going to be turned off. She more than likely will not want to be in this relationship. But does that mean that the lesbian femme will consider being with a man, meaning a biological man, over being with a lesbian stud who is a biological female, but she's a homosexual female? Well, I'll answer that question for you. A lesbian, feminine presenting woman is a female homosexual. So she will never desire to be in a relationship emotionally or sexually with a biological man because she is a lesbian. But if she desires to be in a relationship with a woman and she prefers or she only desires to be with a lesbian stud, which is a masculine presenting female homosexual, she may require that her lesbian stud has certain personality traits. And she also wants her lesbian stud partner to be emotionally intelligent. But what about her being emotional? What if she is very expressive in her emotions? Is that fine? Is that suitable? Well, what I want to do is break down to you that there is a difference between being emotional, and there's also a difference between being immature. I will explain to you in this video what I mean. I am Giselle Wallace, certified gay life coach and author. Here on my YouTube channel, I provide my lesbian perspective, and if that interests you, then please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you. Are women turned off by emotional lesbian studs? I believe it depends on the woman. So as I mentioned already, this is referring to the lesbian relationship dynamic between a lesbian stud who is masculine presenting and a lesbian femme who is feminine presenting. So they're in this relationship together, and we want to know how their relationship dynamic will work, because these are two women together. Even though one is feminine presenting and one is masculine presenting, they are still women. They are biological women, and women are more emotional than the average man, which is a biological man. And this is actually not just theory. We have different hormones. A woman, a biological woman, has the hormones of estrogen and progesterone. Whereas a biological man, he has hormones of testosterone and androgen. Our hormones automatically make us different when it comes to our sex. Our hormones are different. They create different reactions in our body. They also change the physical makeup of our body. Women's physiology is completely different from the male physiology. Yes, we may have arms and legs, but we have sex hormones that are completely opposite from each other. The sex hormones in the woman makes her different from the sex hormones in a male. So sex hormones also affect the mentality of the sex. So women think differently from men because of our sex hormones. And we also experience life differently because of our sex, male or female. So those are proven facts. They're not just a theory or an opinion. But when it comes to homosexual relationships between women, how do women balance their relationships together? Well, the truth is, being a female homosexual, although we have female hormones, we also have male hormones as well. Every person, male or female, we have a combination of both male and female hormones. For women specifically, yes, we have testosterone and estrogen, but because we're women, estrogen is the primary hormone in our bodies that's working through our bodies. However, there are some women whose hormone levels vary. You may have more testosterone as a woman than your female partner. So usually the more masculine presenting woman, she has maybe a higher level of testosterone, but her testosterone in her body still does not succeed the female hormone levels. The feminine presenting woman is in a relationship with a more masculine presenting woman. She desires for her partner to be more so the more solid partner, the more stoic partner, the more calmer partner, because it creates balance in their relationship. It goes deeper than just hormones. It's your way of thinking. It is also the way you identify, because how you identify determines your behavior. It determines your emotions and your thoughts and how you live out your life. So if you identify as a lesbian, if you are a lesbian and you identify as a masculine presenting lesbian, well, then it will show in the way you think, the way you behave, and the way you feel. So it's a combination. And then also your hormones are there. What if the masculine presenting lesbian does not have a higher testosterone level than her feminine presenting female partner? What if her feminine presenting female partner, maybe she has more testosterone, and her feminine presenting partner, even though she's feminine presenting, what if she behaves more in a manner that is characteristic of masculine behavior? What if she's more dominant? What if she's more assertive? What if she is the leader in the relationship? Well, if the feminine presenting is more dominant and more of the leader, more of the assertive partner, it boils down to, does this feminine lesbian partner prefer to be the leader in the relationship with a masculine lesbian partner? So in other words, what if their roles are switched? What if the feminine presenting partner is the more leader, the more dominant partner, and the masculine presenting lesbian, the stud, she is more passive? She lets her feminine lesbian partner take the lead. Well, that boils down to roles and what is suitable between those two women in their lesbian relationship. If that's what they are content with, then that will work for them. If they aren't content with it, then it's not going to work. But in more of the traditional sense, if the lesbian relationship is set up to where the feminine presenting partner is not as dominant, she's more passive, she wants her stud lesbian partner to take the lead, and the stud lesbian partner, she's the more dominant, more assertive, the more leader in the relationship, and they both agree to these roles, these positionings in their relationship, then that is going to work for them. There is a difference between the way you carry out your relationship as far as the roles and the positioning and how you identify if you are a lesbian stud or if you are a lesbian femme. Those are their own categories. And that is separate from your emotions. Everybody has emotions, but everybody is different in how they deal with their emotions. Some people are more expressive in their emotions. Some people are more private. That's depending on the person's personality. And it has a lot to do with also how they grew up. And when it comes to sexual orientation, that also influences how you express yourself. It also is influenced by your sex. Like I said earlier, male and female, the way we live our lives, the way we experience life is very different. And we are different from each other. Being a man and being a woman, or being a male or a female, they are not equal. I don't subscribe to the thought process that everybody is equal when it comes to male and female, because I know we're very different from each other, and being different is not an issue. We're supposed to be different. Now, when it comes to discrimination, that's a whole nother story. I don't agree with discriminating against a person because of their sex or their gender. Now, there is also, as I mentioned earlier, there's a difference between you being emotional and you being immature. What do I mean? You can be an emotional person, and that's fine. You are just an emotional person. But you can also be an immature person. If you are an immature person, this is going to deeply impact your relationship, and it's not going to be good. If you're immature, you're not going to be responsible. You're not going to be considerate. You're not going to be emotionally intelligent. And you're going to be very abrasive. You're going to be very selfish. You're going to be very self-centered. And if you have those qualities, you are not going to be able to maintain a healthy lesbian relationship. Regardless of the role that you play, the positioning, regardless how you identify, whether you are a lesbian stud or a lesbian femme, if you are an immature person, you are going to be very destructive in any relationship you have with the woman. So being immature in a relationship should be considered, because if you're with someone who is immature, it's your choice whether you want to be with someone who is immature. But your female partner being immature is her choice. And you choosing to be with a person who is immature is your choice as well. A person who is mature, someone who is a responsible lesbian partner, she takes into consideration the feelings of her partner. She actually prioritizes what is important in their relationship together. She's emotionally intelligent. She understands that being an emotional person does not equate to being immature. Being an emotional person does not equate to someone who is not valuable. Being an emotional person does not equate to you being inferior. So a lesbian femme who is in a relationship with a lesbian stud, she needs to be very careful not to refer to her lesbian stud partner as being immature or being inferior because she is emotional, because she expresses herself. Expressing your emotions is actually very healthy, depending on why you're expressing yourself. It also depends on the context of your situation. Let me explain. Being an emotional, intelligent person, you are self-aware. You also know your partner. You get to know your partner. You get to know her moods. You get to know the way she thinks. You get to know the way she carries herself. You know what her deal breakers are. So you're careful not to provoke her in a way where it's going to lead to your partner feeling uncomfortable or not being safe with you. If you are emotionally intelligent, you will communicate with your partner about how you're feeling. This is a form of expressing emotion. If your female partner does not want you to express yourself emotionally, I would say that more than likely your partner is not emotionally intelligent. Expressing your emotions is something that women do anyway. But we live in a society where it's a patriarchal world, and men are taught to not express their emotions at all. I'm referring to biological men. And I disagree with that, because if a man is not able to express himself emotionally, he's crippling himself. He doesn't really know who he is, because he doesn't know how he will respond. And usually if you're holding things in, eventually you're going to have an outburst. Eventually you're going to have a breakdown. And more than likely it's going to be toxic. And if a biological woman and she identifies as a lesbian stud, if she watches how a man, a biological man operates, and let's say hypothetically he's a heterosexual man because he's in a relationship with a heterosexual woman, if she observes their relationship dynamic, and if this lesbian stud tries to emulate a heterosexual man, and she thinks, oh, well, a man never shows emotion, a man never cries, oh, a woman is going to look down on me, she's going to think I'm a punk, she's going to think I'm inferior if I cry, or if I say I don't feel well today. Like, this goes into even if you're sick. Like, if you're sick, you can't even express that you're sick. You still have to act tough. If somebody in your family passes away, you still have to be tough. You can't cry. You have to have the energy of, I'm the man. I can handle this. I ain't gonna cry. Ladies, that is extremely unhealthy. You are a woman. Whether you are a lesbian stud or a lesbian femme, you are a woman. You have emotions. You are a human being. And you should be able to express yourself. You should be able to know what you're thinking and feeling every day. If you do not have the freedom to express yourself, if you do not have the freedom to be emotional, then you are not being healthy yourself, whether you're in a relationship with a woman or not. You have to be able to know who you are, and being in tune with your emotions, being in tune with your feelings is a great way for you to get to know yourself and know yourself. And if you are going to be in a relationship with a woman, you need to be with a woman who wants you to speak your truth. She wants you to be in tune with your feelings. She wants you to express yourself. She wants you to communicate with her, because that is what a partnership is. If you are not emotionally mature, if you're not emotionally intelligent, you automatically are immature. You are going to have a very turbulent relationship existence because you're bottled up with emotions. Your emotions are not intended to be bottled up. What I want to basically explain is that there is a such thing as being emotionally toxic. You can emotionally vomit on someone. That's when you have no control over how you carry yourself, how you think, and how you express yourself, because you are a very toxic person. If you are emotionally toxic, if you emotionally vomit, which means you go off and you just say whatever is on your mind, you don't consider your partner, you are being very hostile towards your partner, you have no respect for your partner, you are very volatile. That is what you will do in your relationship when it comes to your emotions. When you express your emotions, you will be very volatile. You will be very dependent upon your feelings to where you don't use your mind. You don't think clearly. You will just rely 100% on your feelings and your emotions. You should never rely 100% on your feelings and your emotions, because your feelings and your emotions are not always the reality of your situation. Meaning, you could think one way, but in reality, it's not the truth. For example, you may get upset that your girlfriend, your lesbian femme girlfriend, gets a lot of attention from men who approach her or compliment her. Your energy, your emotions will focus on your lesbian female partner in a negative way. You will get angry with her because she's getting attention from people who she's not asking to get attention from. So your lesbian female partner, she's not inviting the attention. She's just a very attractive woman, physically and also internally. She's just a beautiful woman, and she draws attention to her because she has lesbian energy. She can't control that people are attracted to her. But if you are an emotionally immature or emotionally toxic lesbian stud, you're going to react very negatively towards your lesbian femme partner, you're going to mistreat her just because she draws attention. But she is not drawing the attention to antagonize you or to provoke you. That is completely out of her control. So you're emotionally vomiting on your lesbian femme partner because other people find her attractive. Well, that's toxic. And so you're expressing yourself in a very immature, emotional manner. And your lesbian femme partner, she is not going to appreciate you for mistreating her. So your relationship eventually is not going to work, because she more than likely is a lesbian femme woman who loves herself. She's a lesbian femme partner who knows that she loves herself, she respects herself, and she's not going to tolerate you mistreating her. So once you understand that and you realize that and you know that, it is best that you correct yourself. You realize that, hey, I'm the issue here. I'm emotionally immature. I'm emotionally toxic, and I need to change. To recap, being an emotional person does not mean that you are toxic unless you are an immature person. You can express your emotions in a mature manner, and expressing your emotions in a mature manner in an environment that is a safe space for you, meaning between you and your lesbian partner, you create a safe space for each other to express yourself, to communicate, to love each other. As women, you are supposed to be emotional. If you are with a lesbian partner who does not allow you to express your emotions, you are going to feel undervalued. You're not going to feel appreciated. You're not going to feel loved. So you just have to determine the difference between being emotionally intelligent, emotionally mature, and being emotionally immature and emotionally toxic. And you both have to decide in your relationship as lesbians what works for you and what does not work for you. Your relationship is between the two of you, and you don't need to let anybody from the outside dictate how your relationship should be. If you both agree with how you carry out and conduct your relationship, if you're both compatible with each other, that is all that matters. I hope this message resonates with you. I am Giselle Wallace, certified gay life coach and author. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, like and share this video. And if you don't mind, hit the super thanks button and donate to the channel. I appreciate you. Have a loving day.